Think about what happens to your work when you close your laptop tonight. Your email keeps arriving. Your calendar keeps filling up. Requests keep coming in. And until now, nothing happened with any of it until you opened everything again in the morning. Google just changed that. Gemini Spark is a persistent AI agent that keeps running on Google's cloud infrastructure even after you close your laptop or lock your phone. It monitors your Gmail, manages your calendar, drafts documents in Google Docs, and continues working while you are offline. Most people see that and think, useful. The more important question is, what exactly are you giving permission to do the work on your behalf? Because by the end of this video, you'll understand something Google didn't put in the keynote. The real shift isn't automation. The real shift is delegation. For years, software behaved like a filing cabinet. You stored information. You opened it when needed. You searched for what you wanted. Then you closed it again. A filing cabinet never acts, it waits. Gemini Spark changes that relationship. Instead of a filing cabinet, Google is trying to turn your software into an executive assistant. An assistant doesn't wait for instructions every 5 minutes. An assistant understands priorities, tracks commitments, organizes information, and handles routine work while you're focused elsewhere. That is the leap Spark represents. Not better answers, more autonomy. Most AI systems today still operate like tools. You ask, they answer. The interaction ends. Spark is different. You define a task. You define a schedule. You define conditions. And then the agent continues operating while you are gone. Every Monday morning, it can scan your inbox, identify the most important developments, prioritize action items, draft responses, schedule blocks of focused work, and prepare a briefing before you've had your first coffee. You are no longer operating the system. You are reviewing the system. You become the editor rather than the operator. That distinction matters, because it introduces a question that most professionals have never had to answer before. How much decision-making are you willing to delegate? Most people are comfortable using AI as a calculator. Many are comfortable using AI as a research assistant. Far fewer are comfortable allowing AI to actively manage their communications, schedules, and workflows. And that is exactly where Spark is pushing the market. Let's make this practical. Imagine you finish a client meeting at 3 o'clock. You discussed 3 action items, you promised 2 follow-ups, and you committed to another meeting next week. Traditionally, you leave the meeting. Open your inbox, write the summary, schedule the reminders, update your notes, then send everything manually. Spark aims to handle that sequence automatically. It sees the calendar event, finds the notes, creates a summary, drafts the email, schedules the reminders, and presents everything for approval. The work is already done before you sit down. That sounds powerful, because it is. But every increase in convenience introduces a new dependency. Every task delegated is a task you no longer personally oversee. And that's where trust becomes the central issue. Most people frame this incorrectly. They ask, do I trust Google with my data? If you're using Gmail, you've already answered that question. The more important question is, do you trust Google to act on your data? Those are not the same thing. Storing information is passive trust. Interpreting information and acting on it is active trust. A filing cabinet stores documents. An assistant reads them and decides what matters. Spark moves Google closer to the second category, and that is why the architecture matters. When Spark performs a task, Google creates what is called an ephemeral virtual machine. Think of it as a temporary worker. The task arrives, a dedicated virtual computer is created, the work is performed, the result is delivered. Then the virtual machine disappears. It does not remain active indefinitely. It does not live permanently inside your account. It exists only long enough to complete the job. This design is Google's answer to security concerns. The system is not a single, always-on entity living inside your inbox. Instead, it is a series of temporary workers completing individual assignments. That is reassuring, but only partially. Because regardless of how temporary the worker is, the work still happens on Google's infrastructure. Every email analyzed, every calendar event reviewed, every document accessed, every task prioritized, all processed inside Google's cloud. That doesn't automatically make it a bad decision. It simply means you should understand what you're delegating. The real story of Spark is not technological, it is professional. Google is not competing against ChatGPT. Google is not competing against Claude. Google is competing against administrative work, against inbox triage, against meeting preparation, against routine coordination, against the friction that consumes hours every week. And in doing so, Google is quietly competing against a category of human labor: the executive assistant, the coordinator, the scheduler, the administrative layer of knowledge work. That is why this launch matters. Not because Spark can write an email. Any AI can write an email. Spark matters because it continues working after you stop. And that changes the economics of productivity. The people watching this understand something many organizations are only beginning to recognize. The future advantage won't come from using AI. Everyone will use AI. The advantage will come from knowing what to delegate and what to keep under human control. That judgment becomes more valuable as agents become more capable. Maybe you're comfortable letting Spark organize your calendar, but not your client communications. Maybe you're comfortable with summaries, but not with decisions. Maybe you're comfortable allowing it to recommend actions, but not execute them. Those boundaries matter because the future belongs to professionals who learn how to manage AI agents effectively, not professionals who surrender everything to them, and not professionals who refuse to use them. The winning position sits between those extremes. Use the automation, maintain the judgment, leverage the speed, keep the authority, because Gemini Spark is not simply another AI product. It represents a transition from software that waits for instructions to software that works on your behalf. And before long, every major technology company will be building agents that operate this way. The real decision is not whether the technology works. The real decision is how much of your professional life you're willing to delegate. Tonight, when you close your laptop, your inbox will continue filling up. Your calendar will continue changing. Your projects will continue moving. For some people, an AI agent will already be handling those tasks. The question is not whether that future is coming. The question is whether you decided where the line should be drawn. And that decision is worth far more than any feature Google announced this week.